The title of today's podcast is Translation. I met somebody recently who's an established expert in the field of translation, and I came across a paper by her which I felt was very interesting. It spoke about translation of poetry and spoke of the words double transgression. It defined transgression as a force that breaks established structures to create something new. So, when you consider that you translate a piece of work into another language, you are causing a transgression because you cannot just substitute like for like. You do break some structures, you do break some forms, and create something new. Now, consider when you write a poem in the same language. A poem is different from writing, say, a piece of text in the same language. A poem messes around, changes, plays with the words in such a fashion that it causes a transgression even in the same language. That's why we have the term called poetic license. What the paper goes on to say is now imagine a situation where you are translating a poem from one language to another language. Because now you have two transgressions that are happening, the translation from one language to another, and from a poem, which is a double transgression. And the double transgression is not a linear change, it is an exponential change. When you multiply the poem transgression with the language change transgression, it allows you to come up with very, very different ideas and even very different interpretations. For instance, I have a poem called क्यों मैं rather क्यों हम प्यार मोहब्बत पर नहीं लिख पाते. The source of this poem was when I used to perform at the Habitat and used to see that almost every second poem is about love and loss and my girlfriend left me or whatever, my boyfriend is still with me, whatever. And I feel that it's time to write something about why I am unable to write about love. But I wrote it in Hindi saying क्यों हम प्यार मोहब्बत पर नहीं लिख पाते. But when I started narrating the lines to my mother, there is a line somewhere where I speak about क्यों मरीन ड्राइव पर बैठे हुए कपल्स पर भी हमारा आशीर्वाद है. That I bless the couples on Marine Drive. I hold no antipathy towards them. And she said, the way you are saying this, I think this will sound better in English. So I rewrote the whole poem in English and it was called Why I Am Unable to Write About Love. And what boggles my mind is the differing reception that I've got each time from different audiences. I performed it at one poetry event in English, and the audience members said, you know what, this sounds like a Hindi poem. So I said it was written originally in Hindi. They said, then read the Hindi version. We want to listen to that. Then when I performed the English version at the Habitat, I got a fantastic response. So I feel that maybe this is double transgression in play. It's not just the fact that the poem is getting translated. It's because double transgression allows you to have so many interpretations that the poem is working based on whoever is interpreting a certain poem subject to their own life and their own experiences. For instance, somebody said, I like to push the Marine Drive couples off the wall. I could not relate to that line. I was like, okay, I'll stay a few miles away from you. But I feel a lot can be lost in translation. But what I liked about this paper was it speaks about how many new things can be created because of translation. This post is not about translation. Good night.